She says he raped her, then testifies that she saw him again and had sex with him, consensually. She says he blackmailed her, but even after their breakups, she's the one who texts him first. You're confused? Same here. So I waited, like many others, for someone to explain this mess. Maybe a therapist, someone who treated Cassie, someone who understood her trauma from the inside. Instead, we got Dr. Dawn Hughes, a trauma expert who had never met or evaluated Cassie. Nevertheless, she appeared in court to explain why victims of domestic violence often don't leave harmful relationships and may even feel affection toward the person who hurt them. This part of Dr. Hughes's explanation was particularly striking. She noted that abusers usually don't start out being violent or cruel. Instead, they often overwhelm their partner with love and attention, what's commonly referred to as the honeymoon phase. But after a while, once the victim is emotionally entangled in that initial affection, the abuser's true self begins to emerge. At that point, they know the victim will keep coming back, hoping to relive the intensity of that early love. Dr. Hughes also emphasized the powerful role of fear. She explained that when a victim remains in such a toxic environment, fear becomes so overwhelming that they're essentially paralyzed. They walk on eggshells, constantly monitoring their words and actions to avoid triggering the abuser. And because the controlling partner takes over every aspect of their life, financially, emotionally, mentally, the victim becomes completely dependent. They fear revenge, they fear getting hurt, they fear they won't survive on their own. They don't see themselves as capable anymore. It seems the prosecution brought Dr. Hughes in to deliver one core message to the jury. If Cassie Ventura stayed with Diddy, if she expressed love or kept coming back, it's not because she chose it freely, it's because she was a victim of domestic violence. And these kinds of behaviors are common in victims. They're not signs of true affection, they're signs of psychological survival. She explained something called trauma bonding. It's when the same person who hurts you also gives you relief. They hurt, then love. Abuse you, then praise you. Break you, then tell you they're the only one who understands. She told the jury not to be surprised by Cassie's texts, because in trauma bonding, victims often express love. They stay in contact. They miss their abuser. It's a compelling theory, but it has one major weakness. What if Diddy's defense team argues that these psychological issues didn't come from him at all? What if they claim that Cassie had these emotional patterns long before the abuse, and that's exactly why she ended up in a relationship with someone like him in the first place? What if the fear didn't begin with Diddy? What if the wound came first? Psychologists call it an abandonment schema, a deep-rooted fear of being left. It doesn't form in adulthood. It comes from childhood, from broken attachments, from inconsistent love, and it shapes the way someone loves or clings. That kind of fear doesn't need violence to activate. It just needs distance, a pause in attention, a threat of being replaced. And in that space, people don't always run from danger. They chase it, because rejection feels worse than abuse. It's the most dangerous chemistry in human psychology, a person terrified of being abandoned, and a person who feeds on control. When someone with deep abandonment wounds meets someone who craves power, the result isn't just pain, it's obsession. A relationship full of highs, lows, sex, shame, guilt, and gravity. So here's the real question. If trauma bonding kept her in the relationship, then whose trauma are we talking about? Because Dr. Dawn Hughes never met Cassie, never evaluated her, never reviewed her therapy records. And if this case is going to trial in a federal courtroom, not on social media, then the prosecution needs to be ready for a hard question. What if the problem wasn't just him? What happens if Diddy's team brings in their own psychologist, someone who does evaluate Cassie's past, her family, her childhood, her romantic patterns? If I were the prosecution, I wouldn't lean so hard on emotional narratives, because trauma like this doesn't have one clear cause. It has layers, it has history, and it doesn't belong to just one person. This trial shouldn't hinge on love letters and trauma theory, because even if she loved him, even if she was emotionally unstable, That doesn't erase what he allegedly did. Unregistered weapons, drug trafficking, intimidation, blackmail, threats to blow up cars. These are real crimes, with real victims and real sentences. If the prosecution wants more than empathy, they need to stop chasing feelings and start proving facts. Because pain is hard to measure, but law is not. So what do you think? Was this a story of manipulation and survival, or a toxic love between two broken people? Comment below, let us know what makes sense to you, and grab the next orange. We're not done yet.